Hi there, welcome back. Thank you very much for all the positive feedback for my biscotti tutorial. I hope that you got to try it and that it went well for you. I would love to hear how it went if you did try it. Today we're going to make a scrumptious springtime and summer dessert that looks complicated, but it's not. It's a gorgeous dessert that tastes as good as it looks. It's called pavlova. Now, the base of this dessert is a crispy French meringue, and the exterior is sweet and crunchy, and the interior is soft and marshmallowy. There's no flour in this. It's gluten-free for those of you who aren't doing gluten. First time I had this dessert was in England. My parents were living there, and my mom and dad's next door neighbor, Jean, invited us over to try, to have dessert, and she was being hospitable, and so we went over and we had this, and I could not believe it. I'd never tasted anything like this in my life, and I don't think that it was in the States at all, this recipe, because I didn't remember it, and I was a baker back then. But anyway, I've been making it for 30 years, and I love it, and I think you're gonna like it too. So I'd like to show you how to do it. So the first thing we've done is we've preheated our oven to 275, and that's where it's going to start. And we've prepared a pan. So if you can see, I have a piece of parchment paper. I drew a circle on the back side, and then I turned it over so that we're not going to put our meringue on the ledge. So anyway, the circle, I can still see it, and it's there. Okay, so we are going to pour room temperature egg whites in our very clean bowl. It's very important when you're working with egg whites to make sure your utensils are clean. If there's any trace of fat, your egg whites are not going to get the full volume that we need for this dessert. Also make sure that your spatula is clean. You know, we run them through the dishwasher, but sometimes grease still sticks to it, so I always go back and wash it again in really hot soapy water. So our egg whites are in there, and we are going to add a pinch of salt. That's all. Okay, and we are going to beat this mixture until we get medium peaks. And it won't take very long, so we'll do it right now. I'll show you what this looks like. Right now we've got foam, but there are no peaks. This is still dripping into itself. That is very soft, foamy, so we're going to go another few seconds. There you go. See how that's just standing up on its own, but it still looks foamy. Okay, so now we are going to add the fine sugar. We use extra fine sugar to make sure that it dissolves, because if we don't dissolve the sugar in this dessert, it's going to be grainy, and that's not going to be pleasing to eat. So I'm going to very slowly add the sugar while this mixes. We're going to keep it on low. Just a tablespoon at a time. this point, I like to turn it off and just get the sugar that has accumulated around the edge of the bowl off. This is the only time we're going to scrape it until we're actually finished with it. So there we go. We're going to put it back in. I am going to turn this up to full speed. It'll take about 5 minutes. We are going to reach stiff, glossy peaks, and we will come back when this is finished beating, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay? Okay, so this has been beating on high for about 5 minutes. As you can see, these are stiff and glossy. This is going nowhere in my pan, in my bowl. Okay? So what we're going to do next is slowly add in the vanilla for flavor, the vinegar, which will help stabilize the egg whites and maintain that air that we've whipped in. And then we have some cornstarch, which will give us that nice soft marshmallowy center. So we're going to add the flavoring. Okay, doesn't take much mixing. You could actually fold it in. I'm just going to get as much of this off of the beater. See how stiff and nice that is? Sticks straight up. That's what you want, shiny and stiff. If it's not doing that, your egg whites and sugar are not ready, and you will not have success when you bake it. Okay, so we're going to take this off of here. I trimmed the paper around my pan, you may have noticed, while we were pausing. So we're going to put this on our paper. I kind of missed the circle there, but I've done this enough times that I know I don't really need the guide, but it's good to use it if you don't do this often. Okay, I'm just going to get that last little bit of goodness. Now we are going to shape this. Just gently push down on it. Spread it a little bit, or keep it within your circle. And then we're going to take our spatula and we're going to make a nice straight side. See that? I'm going to move it over. Like I said, I lost contact with the circle, but I'm still keeping it 6 inches. So now we have this flat top, straight sides, and we're going to come along and go up, like that. You're going to make like a petal almost, and you're going to create these little peaks on top. Very easy. You can do any design you want, really. I mean, you don't have to do exactly like I'm doing. Put the extra in there, smooth it all around. We are going to bake this in our oven at 275 for about an hour. Take a peek at it at 45 minutes, but it'll take about an hour. You want just this to turn a light tan color. It's not really going to brown. We don't want it to brown. It's going to turn a little soft tan color. After an hour, we're going to turn the heat down on the oven to 250. We're going to set the timer again for 45 minutes. And then when that timer goes off, we're going to shut the oven off and leave this in there and let the oven cool down. Really, the ideal time to do this is in the evening. After dinner, you've cleaned up your kitchen, whip this up, put it in the oven, let it go through the baking process, turn off the oven, go to bed, and in the morning you have a nice cool down pavlova and you can fill it and decorate it. So okay, we're going to put this in the oven and then we will come back and I'll show you what it looks like when it's out, and then we will complete the recipe. Okay, our pavlova has baked at 275 for an hour, then I lowered the heat to 250 for 45 minutes. I turned off the oven, I let the oven cool completely, and I carefully peeled it off of the baking paper, the parchment paper, and this is what it looks like. Sam can zoom in. As I told you, it will crack. The only major crack we had was here, which is actually not bad. It usually looks about like this, sometimes worse, sometimes better. Inside, the top usually always falls. If it doesn't, you may have to take a knife and just kind of cut around it and let it fall, because when you add the cream, everything may kind of give way. But inside here is the soft marshmallowy center. You can see it about halfway down, it settles. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our cream to the top and then top it with some fruit. Now, I made lemon curd a few days ago, and I thought it would be really good to add some of this to the whipped cream. I don't usually do this because I don't usually have lemon curd on hand, but if you have it, it's a great addition. And I'm going to just dump this in. Another thing I'd like to tell you, don't fold it in all the way. Just fold it in so that it kind of ribbons in there, and you can actually see some yellow. This is heavy whipping cream that I added. This is about a pint. And I added a couple tablespoons of powdered sugar. Don't add too much because this is a really sweet dessert. A teaspoon of vanilla, and I whipped it up to this consistency. Don't over whip it or you're going to wind up with lumps, and lumpy whipped cream is not attractive. The other thing I'd like to say is this dessert deserves to have heavy whipping cream on it. If you're in the habit of buying frozen whipped topping, I'm sure there's a place for that. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but not here. Please use real whipping cream when you do this. So we're going to just kind of plop this in here. This is way more than I need, by the way, because I'm going to be using this for something else. And as you can see, you can kind of push it down in because without breaking it. You can just pile it in there. The weight of it will distribute it somewhat. And don't worry about that crack there. It's going to run over the side a little bit. That's okay. So there, that's enough. Refrigerate that. So now this is the fruit I've cut up. My hands are clean, so I'm going to handle it. Strawberries, blueberries, pineapple, mango, whatever's in season, whatever you like. So we're going to add a few strawberries. Just kind of poke some down in there. You can just add strawberries alone, and you don't have to add other fruit. Peaches are wonderful when they're in season. Okay, we'll add a few blueberries. And if you've got a big platter and some of the berries or fruit falls and reaches the side of the platter, that's okay, no big deal. So anyway, I'm not going to take a lot of time on the video to decorate this with fruit, but you can do whatever you'd like. Some pineapple. I made this in Hawaii one time when we were vacationing, and I added pineapple and some passion fruit, I think, and I found some fresh plumeria flowers and put them on top. Of course, we didn't eat those, but it sure looked pretty for presentation. And then got a little bit of mango. And that's okay. So there, you just put that on there. Let me rinse my hands. And then we're going to dust it with some powdered sugar. Okay, so this is pavlova. Is that not one of the prettiest things you've ever seen? I mean, and to be able to eat that after you've made such a beautiful thing, it's kind of hard because you really don't want to ruin it by cutting it, and cutting it is a little bit tricky. What I like to do is find a crack. We're going to go right here. That's a natural crack, so we'll just kind of go with it. I'm going to cut it so you can see what it looks like inside and just how to do this. And one of these will serve, I would say about seven people. It looks like a lot, but it's so airy and light that you need to cut some really nice sized pieces. Okay, so we lift it out like this, slide it on the plate, and then we'll bring it over to the fruit. And you can add a little more fruit on top because it all kind of falls on itself sometimes. But as you can see, this is the crispy shell, this is the soft marshmallowy filling. And together, it's quite an experience to eat. I hope you try this recipe. It's delicious. And a little trivia, and let me show you the inside too. Okay, soft marshmallowy, yeah. So, pavlova, how did it get its name? Anna Pavlova was a ballerina in the 1920s, and she was touring New Zealand and Australia. And there was a chef there in one of those two places. I guess there's some dispute as to who gets credit for this, but he created this dessert for her, and the shell is supposed to look like her tutu. So this is pavlova. You can see how easy it is. I hope you try it. If you do, please let me know. And we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.